All right, guys, so we do actually have a little bit more time left, maybe like 10 minutes. So apparently there's some of you guys that want to hear from Thuy Minh and myself, so we'll just share some time since we've flown all the way from Vietnam to be here. So Thuy Minh, Q&A. All right, please welcome Thuy Minh. And then right after this, we will have a book signing, and then all of you will take home like a box of coffee as well. Okay. All right, Thuy Minh, please take a seat. Do you want to speak Vietnamese or English?
I can do.
You can do both? Who wants to hear her in Vietnamese?
Yeah!
Okay, we'll have to do it then. Sorry, Chris. Okay, so I'm gonna ask in English, and then she's gonna ask in Vietnamese. How about that? Or we just do like a little chat. Okay, how about you just... So Thuy Minh, how was being in Houston like the last couple of days? Just hearing from people like Chris and from Bao and all these other people. Maybe you can share as a Vietnamese person what your experience has been. You've been to America many times, but maybe just start with that.
How I feel this time.
Yeah.
So
Or you can just share whatever.
Yeah, some people were asking me what's my impression. It's like here, everything is so big. So it is. And yeah, for me, it's funny. I see this somewhere, and I just share with some Vietnamese fellows that I feel good listening to Vietnamese, and then I feel so much home these days. Right? I got through a few things at home right now, and I'm in a strange country. But then I talk to I feel like it's my people, and then I feel so warm. Right? So it's being this town. It's not like, oh wow, this is like a big stage, and then the food is so much here. Not anymore, but it's more like, he told me, this is my first time.
First time.
Yeah.
Haven't been to LA?
Not yet. Maybe tonight. All right, guys, this is the first time I'm actually doing an interview with Thuy Minh. It's really weird. So I think what I'm going to do is get off the stage, and we're just going to do a Q&A. How about that? All right, so she's going to pass around the mic and just... No, you stay. I'm leaving. So if you want to ask questions to Thuy Minh.
Yeah,
Anyone?
Do you have a question?
Yes.
Okay. Ooh, thank you.
Yeah, hi, David. My name is V. So very glad that Vietcetera team come to Houston today, and I know you guys go around the world tour in Sydney and Tokyo too. So what the reason that you choose Houston as your first stop, and what do you think of the potential of Vietnamese community in Houston?
To be honest, I didn't think that much. We happened to be in the convention, and then I think Hao is such a good leader at Vietcetera. He was just like, we go to Houston, and we always just go to Houston without asking them why. Right? So for me, 2 years ago, we do a uni tour, which is we came up with the name in Vietnam. Like we just do 18 different universities in Vietnam to talk about sex education. Off topic, but yeah. So we did that tour, right? And then this is very new to me that, this is my audience. But then I met it at the beginning, like I can see your face, and I feel so much. I know who I create content for. Then it's become a mission that like the more you create things online, the more you need to meet people in real life. So that's why we start this. And then I really don't care about where we're gonna be. But then of course I have a few understanding that's more Vietnamese here, but to be honest, I didn't expect anything that you guy would come and then you would know me. I think it's more like Bao and Chris that people know. I feel very nice walking around, nobody knows you or judge how you look. So so I didn't expect anything. So anything happened today, I feel blessed. Thank you. You have?
Hi, em tên là Thanh, cho em xin được nói tiếng Việt tại em cũng nghe chị nói tiếng Việt. Thật sự thì em rất là hâm mộ chị Thuy Minh. Thật sự nhóm của em ở đây rất là đông, nhóm của em cũng 20 người đến đây là vì chị Thuy Minh, Vietcetera. And of course em đến đây vì đã lâu rồi. Thì em rất là ngưỡng mộ chị. Thì một little bit background em thì em ở Việt Nam 16 năm, em qua Mỹ 17 năm. Thì thời gian cả ở Mỹ Việt Nam em gần như là bằng nhau. Thì em rất là now em có thể identify em là Vietnamese American. Thì em có thể thấy được sự connection giữa em với anh Hảo, với anh Tris là những người ở đây và đã đây lâu. Hay em có thể connection với chị là người ở Việt Nam nhưng mà nó đang rất giỏi và hoạt động trong Vietcetera ở bên nước ngoài như vậy. Thì em chỉ muốn là với lứa tuổi như em, một người là mới xong công việc và tất cả đang bắt đầu. Em muốn thực sự trở thành như anh chị là một Vietcetera có thể truyền năng lượng, truyền cảm hứng đến tất cả mọi thanh niên hoặc có thể thấy cái bản thân của em cách đây 16 năm mới đến Mỹ. Em muốn được truyền cảm hứng cho những bạn trẻ đó và được thành công như anh chị. Thì em có thể hỏi làm sao em có thể involve cho trở thành một cái Vietcetera như anh chị để connect được với anh chị. Thì những bước đầu tiên là em phải như thế nào? Như là em phải để connection với chị như thế nào? Em phải là như thế nào?
Đây là sinh viên rồi đúng không? Rồi rất là nhiều rồi, làm thế nào em?
Thì mà em ở đây là vì chị.
Cảm ơn. Chị sẽ nói một tí tiếng Việt, tí tiếng Anh vì sẽ có mọi người không hiểu tiếng Việt. I believe in a kind of mindset, and I think it's such a time for that. I always felt like I'm not Vietnamese enough. Even I'm totally born, never lived outside of Vietnam. But then when I grow up, I feel like I'm living in such a very narrow crack. Like oh my God, it's so painful to grow up. And then I realized that because people would say, oh, you're so different. And then, why you don't just like look alike or do things just like the other? And I believe that there's people who are born in America that feel like I'm living in a crack too, right? So then I discovered Vietcetera. I'm like, oh, there's a thing called Vietcetera mindset. Like you, in the worst day, you feel like you don't belong anywhere. But in good days, you're like, I know that I'm unique and special, and thank God, everyone like without no boundaries these days, we can live with that mindset. So to answer your question, I think it doesn't. What you try to ask is it doesn't matter where you work. Vietcetera is just one small company that we started, and we believe that we can help out to anyone have that mindset, but maybe early stage. Like people still feel, when I was growing up, nobody told me that it's okay to feel like this. So that's a higher purpose that I found only with Vietcetera. I'm like, oh, what if my kids grow up and they feel like how I felt before? And no one tell them that it's okay, right? So we want to be that place. It's okay to be different. It's okay to feel a little bit, you haven't figured out things, but it will come. And then what's the step to do that? So for you, I think it's, there's a time of mixed identities that we gone through, but as long as we found each other and we know there's like a list like more and more people like us, then I think it's just for time. But just ask yourself what you want to do first instead of like working at certain. Because to be honest, even without Vietcetera, I would do what I'm doing right now. And Vietcetera can become anything later. It's very good that we work with Vietcetera and we meet you guys today. But like I say, if we find a higher purpose, I'm just looking about create very good content, become the mentorship for people like my kids. And sometimes that's why there's a sex education involved at the beginning, because that's when we tap in, right? Just find something. I think Chris and Bao mentioned that before, that feeling that you wake up every morning and you think of going to work and you don't feel that late, you don't feel you're lazy. There's some callings always pull you to wake up and do things. And I can say it now because I've been through very tough times with a lot of incidents, right? But if I still have energy to do what I'm doing, then I think it's big enough to try. So I encourage everybody, you know the mindset, you know that you have it, you got it. It's just like ask yourself what you really want, and then make it happen. It's simple. But we can always, yeah, have more job offer for you too.
Another job opportunity question, but it's different. So I know that you are a very big media company, and you also broadcast about finance and like educate about finance. And it could be you or Mr. Hao answer this question. As an international student, I learned a lot from the U.S., but most of us are kind of hesitant to come back because we don't know how potential they embrace international students, or is there opportunity to work in the Vietnam, or maybe like we work with American style, and I don't know about Vietnamese style. Do they like us? So with your financial broadcast and with your connection and talk with other like CEO in Vietnam, how do you think about the potential that international students come back to Vietnam? Is it good, or is it so? What should we do, or can we peer near like you guys influence other people with our lifestyle or Western style that we have?
You want to?
Sure.
The one that came out.
Yeah, sure. So to answer this question, when Vietcetera started, it was in English only, actually, and a lot of people that initially read us were Vietnamese or overseas who can read English, and so that's like everyone in this group, basically. But we found a greater purpose eventually, I think 1 or 2 years after, to do Vietnamese, because we noticed most of our readers were Vietnamese anyways, and if given a choice to read between English and Vietnamese, they would read Vietnamese. So we launched a Vietnamese, and that's when our readership just went like really crazy. It just like went really high, basically like 10 times higher overnight as soon as we launched it. So, and then when more people joined, we could start doing events. We started doing podcasts like Have a Sip and Vietnam Innovators. That's when we saw more growth as well. And I think that's just where Vietnam is kind of going. It's a very global country now, actually. Like if you go to Saigon, all the multinational companies, Vietnamese companies included, like Vingroup, Masan, all these others, Masterize, Techcombank, among many others. They're all thinking about how to do business better, and part of it is like engaging with the world more. And it's not just for money, it's just to understand the world better too. And I think that's what will drive Vietnam forward, and that's part of our mission, and perhaps for you guys too. If you studied in America, I wouldn't be afraid of coming back home. It's more like what Al, or I think Chris was saying about what value can you bring? What mindset can you bring? And maybe it's not bringing anything, maybe it's just bringing yourself back home, right? Like literally. You don't need to like bring any new ideas necessarily, it's just you as a person can deliver some sort of value to a company, yourself, your family, something like this. Because Vietnam does need people. At the end of the day, and a lot of people ask me like, what's the difference between working in the US versus Vietnam? And the US is pretty amazing. Like you can't get better, to be honest. Like there's incredible talent, expertise, innovation. It's why so many technologies come from the US and why companies are so big in the US. But Vietnam needs more of that too. So if you can bring any small bit of that perspective, experience, Vietnam can get to the next level of development and growth. With that said, there's a lot of young people and maybe not as many systems of like management and leadership yet. So that's also an opportunity. There's also a frustration sometimes, but it's okay. Nothing's ever perfect, right? So again, it's your own personal choice. Like even for me, I've lived in Vietnam 9 years now. Every now and then it crosses my mind, oh, should I be living or working somewhere else? I still love what I do. I've been thinking like, how do I just keep doing Vietcetera but like live somewhere else half the year? I don't know if that's feasible, but that's something I think about every now and then. So yeah, if you want to know more, I mean, I can talk about that for hours, honestly. But I can tell you that just the fact that you've studied abroad or lived abroad, a lot of companies do appreciate that. We actually have, for anyone that's coming home in January, we're doing an overseas Vietnamese summit in Ho Chi Minh the first week of January. We'll have like 600 attendees, and we talk all about this at this particular summit. So I'm trying to get Chris to come back for that. Let's see, Chris, get on the spot already. Anyways, hopefully that answers your question. We have time for one more question, guys, and then we'll...
I would like to add.
Oh, sure.
I feel like I just came up with this when I'm here. I'm not in Vietnam, but I have I did ask this question a few times with different guests, but I never like try to systemize it in a direction of new content. But I feel like Vietnam now ready for the branding of Vietnam. We got out of the country, but now it's really time to come back. But not just as a country, but for the brand of Vietnam, right? It's like what do you mean Vietnam? It's beside pho, right? The cuisine. Let's say we have great filmmakers and great creative directors that are Vietnamese. So what is that for the new generations of Vietnamese? What is that, the brand of Vietnam? So I have a feeling that we will do more content in that directions in the next few years. But the only way to find out what's the brand of Vietnam is get out of that and then look back and see the whole thing. Like I came up with that when I'm not in Vietnam. So I believe that you guys who live abroad and then got a chance to kind of get out of the scenario a little bit, it's an advantage to go back and showcase that. So I just want to encourage you to come home.
Yeah. Thank you. So we have maybe one or two more questions and then we'll close up.
Hi. So first of all, I want to thank Vietcetera to bring this kind of opportunities to the U.S. because this is the first time I've ever been to a convention. So I have questions for Vietcetera, for anyone that has went back to Vietnam and start working on the career, take like such a big changes as you bridges the gap between the Vietnamese and the global audience. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face in terms of either content creations or receptions? Because I've been watching Vietcetera after the COVID. I've seen a lot of changing where you invite a lot of professors from Vietnamese and from all around the world. And what are some of the key leadership qualities that are needed for you guys to for the ever-changing media landscape overall?
Yeah. I'll quickly answer this. So I'll answer that second question first. We have to dare to kind of innovate a little bit. I think media, of course, in Vietnam is challenging because it's the only country in the world that speaks Vietnamese. It's not like English, where literally every country in the world there are people that speak English, whereas Vietnam, it's basically just Vietnam. So we have to really understand the audience and how things are changing. There are no reports online about this. You read reports about how, Gen Z are thinking about this, but it's mostly from a global perspective. You do have that in Vietnam, but it's not as comprehensive or fully researched. So sometimes it's just up to us to be on the ground, talking to people, hearing what people want to know more about and understand. So the leadership type that we would look for is, kind of people that dare to kind of innovate and not be afraid all the time, because sometimes that's what happens in Vietnam. People don't want to take too many risks, and that's an opportunity for you guys too, coming back to Vietnam, because a lot of the workforce there, more of the older ones, but generally speaking, they don't have an incentive to innovate because maybe the company is so big already, it makes so much money or whatever, right? But that's what creates space for innovation. So I think that's one key characteristic, I would say. And in terms of your first question about challenges and maybe even opportunities, the biggest challenge is not even competitors or even Vietnam itself, like the audience, how it's changing and all that, but it's actually about how people think about Vietnam. Of course, the way that we see it is that it's a country that can really develop and become a global powerhouse for various things. But at the end of the day, the world doesn't really understand Vietnam. Like there's just very little content. I'm sure for those of you that are Vietnamese, when you introduce yourself to American people, they're like clueless about Vietnam. They just think, oh, Vietnam War, you know, something like that, and pho and Bel Air, right? Or at least for Houston, right? Which are true. Yes, those are true, very true things. But I think that's also our challenge, that people just don't know anything. So how can we solve that? Okay, well, content will help. But also, we're doing these events, and we have other things in the pipeline. If you keep following online, you'll see. But we want to do more of these international events because countries around the world want to know more. And we actually picked Japan and Australia at the end of the year because everyone from the governments to the local Vietnamese populations that live there, they have this really big desire to connect the two countries more. US, yes and no, not as much. Maybe it's the whole time zone thing. It's really difficult to just do things because of the time zone. But yeah, stay tuned for that. So we think about it a lot.
Yeah, this is CEO. I'm a CCO. I take care of content. So I don't think much about where and how, but the challenge in content, it's more like you baking a cake. And it needs to be a very good, like taste good, but it needs to have good look as well. So for me, that's the more challenging. Like I don't think too much about like trend or like different culture. For me, it's the same. Like if there's a good content, attractive content, doesn't matter what language it is or what kind of culture target. Right? For me, it's good content is good content. That's how I do. So it's more like you have this dish in mind and you have to make it happen. So that's always the most challenging process for us as a team, because you can decide to do it yourself, and even it's hard for, you have this recipe and you want to bake this cake and you want to put a few things on top, it's just in your head, right? And then you have to do it, just do it yourself, it's hard enough, but then do it as a team, and then just like roll it with the whole ship, and believe that this whole audience is going to be on board with you and go with you in that direction. It's the most challenging for me. Most of the time in Vietnam, I create stuff that people, like, what's that? Like, so I got through the part that, oh, you self-doubt, but now I have more belief together with Vietcetera. But yeah, we go back, it's about, the most challenge is always about execute what your idea is. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, one more question, and then we'll have to take it offline, guys. We're running out of time, but we'll be here. We'll be hanging out. One more question.
Chào mọi người, em tên là Thắng, mình đến từ New Jersey. Câu hỏi của em là thích uống quá trình không thì mình hôm nay là gì?
Nếu mà trả lời đúng với partner của mình là mình uống nghiện cà phê. Thì mình luôn uống cà phê. Câu hỏi là cái đồ uống của thì mình giống như trong show, it's like open my show, it's always questions what your drink is and what to tell me. I guess I'm always stick with black coffee. I'm very loyal to my coffee. I try to go deep in why I'm having coffee. I use a lot of caffeine to help me work. So that's my drink.
All right, round of applause for Thuy Minh. Thank you. All right, guys, so we're gonna have to wrap up now, but we do have time. We're gonna do book signings now. So we're gonna have a table put on stage, and Chris, we'd love to have you on stage, and we're gonna start that book signing. So guys, everyone in this room will be entitled to a book. So please don't leave today without a signed copy of Chris Do's book. Otherwise, if you just want to hang out, we'll be on the side here. Please meet your fellow participants and Thuy Minh and myself as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Right. We're going to start the line here. There's quite a few of you, so whoever comes first, please. But yeah, we'll be here, I guess, for like another half hour. So thank you.